People of the realm. The mountain that rises is a gigantic beast of a man and feared for good reason, but what we don't know is why. In part 1 we look back to an event that would shape the man who Rhaegar had knighted into the monster that we know today. And that event was the murder of Aegon and Rhaenys Targaryen, and then the subsequent rape and murder of their mother, Elia Martell. Westerosi and Isosi. If you haven't already, I suggest you go back and watch the previous video in order to fully understand my ramblings and my tinfoil reasoning. So in part 1 we discussed the possibility of Gregor simply being pure evil, a brutal and heartless beast who was loyal to Lannister. But doesn't GRR himself say there is no such thing as good and evil, that all men are in fact shades of grey, and in that real life, the hardest aspect of battle between good and evil is determining which is which. Next we discussed the possibility of Gregor being part of a plot, led either by Varys or Rhaegar. The plot consisted of a child swap, so if they're posed to be a serious threat, risk or danger to Rhaegar's only son, Aegon would then be swapped out for another who would then die to protect the heir. Aegon Targaryen was said to have been killed by Gregor Clegane. But what if this was all a lie? What if Little Bird sang a song that you listened to, or a powerful Lord Paramount stated rumour as fact? Either way, Gregor Clegane could have been the victim of propaganda. Now allow me to go into a little more depth. To do this, we must explain the origin of these rumours. Now we have no first-hand accounts from any of the people in the room, as the majority of them are bloody dead, but what we know is that Tywin presents the body of the children to both Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark. When he did this, they were wrapped in Lannister red, which served two purposes. Firstly, think of the symbolism that House Lannister had ended Rhaegar's line, and that this was acting as a fealty gift to the new king. The crimson of Lannister also helped to hide the blood of children. Rhaenys was actually barefoot, still in her nightgown, and was clearly identifiable to Kevin Lannister. But Aegon's head was a bloody ruin. It was mashed to a pulp, so there was doubt about the identity of the child until Tywin speaks up, and that gives weight to the lie. And how does he do this? Well, he does it by creating a feasible reason as to the state of the boy's corpse. He claims that he ordered Clegane to find him, but he wasn't actually specific as what to do with Elia. Now, does this sound like Tywin? Even a young Tywin would know the value of a Dornish princess. So the story goes that Gregor and Armory Lorch scaled the walls of Maegor's Holdfast. Firstly, that would be some bloody sight, seeing a giant of a man who's said to be around 8 feet tall and weighing over 400 pounds scale the wall of any holdfast, never mind one that's as prominent as Maegor's. But let's say that they did manage to scale the walls, and they made it inside and they found the children. Surely Tywin would have preferred them delivered to him along with their mother, to act more as political pawns. Presenting living heirs would be a stronger statement of intent and force Robert to deal with them rather than besmirching the name of House Lannister. We know through his dealings with his father Tybalt that Tywin's priority was restoring his family's reputation. And yes, I understand that can in itself be swung both ways. You can be both respected and feared. But think about it for a moment. Tywin would effectively be giving Robert the tools to mend the rift with Dorne, sending Elia and possibly Rhaenys to them. Some would say that his hatred for the Targaryens would have forced him to kill them. When the new king is presented with the children's bodies, Robert Baratheon actually looks away, and that suggests to me that those children would have lived if in different circumstances. So the fact that Tywin Lannister gave no specific orders to Gregor Clegane, except to go to Maegor's Holdfast and find the heirs. This omission, I believe, is an afterthought. It's done to cover something up. There is only one reason I can think of for Tywin's men to deliver corpses instead of hostages, and that's that the children, when they were found, they were already dead. So Tywin used his fantastic strategic mind to formulate a way for his family to benefit from this. Now, who would have believed that such a brute of a man as Gregor would have found the children dead already? So the lie was concocted, and it rang so true that even poor old Ned and young Dany relayed it to us as readers, and yet none of them were actually there. And just as his father had created House Clegane, Tywin Lannister created the mountain that rides the man-monster Gregor. Clearly a man of his size and strength could deface a small child with such cruelty. After all, did you hear what he did to his own brother? Tywin's claim that he didn't order the savagery but failed to account for Gregor's ferocity seems out of place. It doesn't sound like a man who later ended a war with just a quill. So in one fell swoop, Tywin delivered the new king his enemies dead and defeated, and created the myth of Gregor Clegane, a weapon that he would wield many times again in the future. Why would Gregor go along with this? Well, let's start with something. He's 17 years young. The man who had knighted him, Prince Rhaegar, was dead. Tywin Lannister was his lord. He was the Lord Paramount of the Westerlands. He granted the Cleganes their titles, their land, and he said that this was fact. Have a look at this. Unlike his brother, Sir Gregor did not live at court. He was a solitary man who seldom left his own lands, but for wars and tourneys. He had been with Lord Tywin when King's Landing fell, a new made knight of 17 years, even then distinguished by his size and implacable ferocity. Some said it had been Gregor who dashed the skull of the infant Prince Aegon Targaryen against the wall, and whispered that afterwards he had raped the mother, the Dornish Prince Elia, before putting her to the sword. These things were not said in Gregor's hearing. Ned Stark could not recall ever speaking to the man, though Gregor had ridden with them during Balon Greyjoy's rebellion, one night among 1,000. So even here, Ned casts doubt. He confirms it was a rumour. Some people had said that Gregor had dashed the skull. Only some, not all. It was not mentioned as fact. And did you ever wonder why this was not said in front of the mountain? Could it be the fact that the mountain reacted badly to being called a child killer? And it's later confirmed that Ned pretty much says that even though he might have believed it, he never actually spoke to the mountain, even when the mountain was in his company. This was the same Gregor who was knighted only a few years previous by the chivalrous, honourable poster boy of the realm, Rhaegar Targaryen. Now if the young Gregor was a monster, the monster that we've told he is, there'd be little chance for him to receive a knighthood from anyone of worth, let alone the heir to the kingdom. So if Gregor Clegane didn't kill Rhaenys or Aegon's replacement, then who did? The man with the plan, Varys. I believe that Varys killed Aegon or Aegon's replacement, making it appear brutal when in fact it was meticulous. We know his motives are for the good of the realm, and so he's either spirited away the real Aegon, then killing his doppelganger replacement, or he's actually killed the heir himself, making way for someone to claim to be him in the future. Perhaps a Blackfire. Remember, Varys' little birds not only can deliver information, but they can also spread rumours, and they sung a song of evil Gregor, the defiler of princesses and the murderer of children, and no one questioned it. No one but Kevan Lannister. And later, Varys would kill him too. And as for Gregor's confession to Oberyn, well, needless to say that Gregor was under some duress. He was being prodded like a bull in the ring by Oberyn and his poisoned spears. Oberyn screams his sister's name at Gregor, and the mountain's first reply is who? It seems strange that he doesn't initially remember who Oberyn is talking about, or perhaps he's just playing dumb. And then come the accusations, the same accusations that he's heard time and time again over the years, This time it is ringing in his mind. Gregor responds telling the Viper to shut up and that it's making his head hurt. Then eventually, Oberyn thinks he has the mountain beat, until Gregor rallies. And then he utters a confession to a man that has caused him so much physical pain. Many years have passed since he'd been told to live the lie. He turned into the monster he'd been painted as, and this was a final way for him to accept this fate and cause Oberyn one last piece of pain. You see, all men lie, even the most honourable. I am Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Hand of the King, and I come before you to confess my treason in the sight of gods and men. I betrayed the faith of my king and the trust of my friend Robert. I swore to defend and protect his children, yet before his blood was cold, I plotted to depose and murder his son and seize the throne for myself. Let the High Septon and Baelor the Beloved and the Seven bear witness to the truth of what I say. Joffrey Baratheon is the one true heir to the Iron Throne, and by the grace of all gods, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the realm. The fires of Theory grow cold for now, so what do you think? Was Gregor Clegane innocent of these crimes? Was he a victim of Tywin's propaganda and Varys' whisperers, or was he part of a plot? Or is he just the evil bastard we all think him to be? As always, leave a like if you've enjoyed this video, or change your family name to Frey if you haven't. And remember, I'm the Northlander, you know nothing, and neither do I.